First things first, Catherine, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, really excited to be in Amsterdam today.
Well,
For our show, yeah.
lovely to have you. So before we talk about the latest record and the music, I'd like to jump back a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first album you fell in love with?
Yeah, I think it would have been probably a Bob Dylan album because I've grown up in a household of Bob Dylan lovers. So that was, I think, probably Freewheeling's probably the first album that I heard because my dad would play it on repeat all the time. But the first album probably I personally fell in love with was Lauryn Hills Miss Education of Lauryn Hill when I was about 13 or 14. So yeah, that was the one I listened to a lot, back to back all the time. Yeah.
What was it about Lauryn Hill that struck you?
It was her voice, it was her energy, it was the strength of her vocal, and I think at that point I knew that I wanted to try and sing and to be able to sing like her, you know, and it just would strike me as like an amazing thing to be able to do. Yeah.
Were you singing at that time?
Yeah, I was, but it was just kind of in the kitchen, in the shower, you know, just doing my thing, and I was writing songs on piano from when I was about 11 years old. So, and that was again just such a private, personal thing.
Yeah.
No one really knew. I think maybe my dad and my mum might have known that I kind of did songs on piano, but it was just for me, really, just kind of playing around. Yeah.
But at that age, 11,
Yeah.
What drove you to write songs? Do you remember?
It was, yeah, because I've always been so driven, and I remember at school, instead of, you know, going and doing other things or just hanging out with my friends, I'd just go to the music department and just sit in the piano rooms and just write music. I've always done it. I've always felt that kind of real innate sense to just write music.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, well, you mentioned you are from a musical household, and then your dad liked Bob Dylan. So was it kind of born out of that, or was it something you did on your own?
I think so. I think, you know, I have to say, I think my dad was a real influence because he started life when he was, you know, in his teenage years as an artist.
Okay.
He used to paint. He was a massive music lover. He would go to festivals in the sort of late 60s, 70s. And I used to love hearing those sort of stories of how music was so important to his kind of formative years and how it shaped his experiences and how it kind of grew his friendship groups and how his best friends are still his friends that he used to, you know, he went to Woodstock with or whatever. So those amazing stories. So yeah, I just kind of felt that music, there was this magic to music, everything about it. And so yeah, I think it definitely played a role in me wanting to indulge in it and understand it. And then the other thing to say is that my cousin was working for Domino Records.
Okay.
So when I was about 13, 14, I was starting to get interested in buying music and having a bit of money. He would give me lots of records that he was signing at Domino. So that's when I first heard Radiohead and things like Elliot Smith and Portishead and Massive Attack. These amazing sort of, you know, trip hop and indie alternative artists who I think also had a real influence on me, as well as all the very kind of classical, folk, Motown, soul stuff that I was growing up with as well. So I had a very nice eclectic range of music.
Do you remember what, because you were compelled to write, what you got out of it?
I just
especially at that young age?
Yeah, I think just a sense of purpose, a sense of this was what really made me feel whole. It's like my identity. I wasn't finding my identity in the other kind of schoolwork or the other bits and pieces I was doing or told to do at that age. And I remember I had a piano teacher, but I wanted to really do my own thing. I've always wanted to just have my own little bubble with it. And even to this day, I still just, you know, Bob can't really be in the room when I write. So I like to be very, very in my bubble, in my private little world. And I still tap into that. And I've done that all of these years since I was little. So yeah, I think it's a really hard thing to define, and I think it's a very innate thing, and I've always had that drive, and I think it just makes you feel good. And I think if you're going through a lot of stuff, and I think emotionally I've always gone through a lot of things from quite a young age, and I've always been thrown in to quite emotional situations in my family setup as well. So it was like a healing thing as well. I think then I didn't realise it so much, but definitely now I'm aware that I do it to heal and to learn more about myself and move on from things. Yeah.
And I don't want to dig too deep, but can you give me an example?
Yeah, I think it comes down to my parents had a very, very complex relationship. And I think because of the person I am, I've always been very much, I want to help people and understand things. I always like to get to the root of things. And so instead of being removed maybe from the issues and complexities of their relationship and their dynamic, I always used to get very sucked in.
Right.
And actually I should have stayed well away to protect myself, because I've got very hurt and confused within the years of kind of, and it was my safe place. And I think for a lot of musicians, when you write your music, that's where you're safe and that's where you're calm, and you know that you have control over what you're doing and it's your thing. And this kick drum is really ideal.
It's kind of undercutting. Anyway, but as you described, a very solitary thing. So do you have to be in a certain mood, or do certain moods come out?
Yeah, I think I would say probably the best songs that I write are the ones when I have it's that surge, it's that feeling. It's a very soulful thing, it's a very deep thing of I've just got to write. And you know, sometimes I force myself, and I think it's important, particularly when you're trying to write an album, to sometimes push yourself, push your comfort zone, write even if you don't think it's that good. Just keep it well oiled. I always say that. And I watched this documentary with Rick Rubin, and he said that if you can, as a writer, always keep writing. Don't go stale for periods of time if you can. Even if it's just a diary entry or something you observe on the street, or just an emotion in a sentence. So that's important to me. But I think usually if I get that surging feeling where I feel like I've got to write, I want to write, I will write a whole song within quite a short matter of time. Yeah.